All right, so this week for grammar, we're focusing on titles and abbreviations. Important thing to know about titles is that they basically, it's a name of a creative work. It could be either a book, a magazine, a newspaper, a movie, short story, article, song, chapters in a book, or poems. And those are just some examples of where you would use a title. And remember, a title is going to be capitalized. And the other part is abbreviations. Abbreviations are basically a shortened form of a word. Okay. All right. So I am going to go over some of those with you, and then you will do some pages out of your reader's notebook that are posted on Seesaw, reviewing this stuff as well. So again, you're capitalizing the first word, last word, and each important word in a title. Okay, that's very, very important. The second thing is knowing how to identify whether it's a long piece of work or a shorter piece of work. So if it's a longer piece of work, then you underline the title. If it's a shorter piece of work, you're going to put quotation marks around the title. And then we have two examples in the box. It says the article, Houston, we have a trash problem, tells about space junk. Because it is an article, it is considered a shorter piece of work. So it does have quotation marks around it. The second example, it says, Black Beauty is one of my favorite books. Black Beauty is a book, and so it is underlined. When you are typing, you can use italics, which basically means that the words are going to be slanted a little bit, but underlining is perfectly acceptable as well. All right, we have a couple that we're going to do right here. So it says, Isaac Asimov warned about a serious problem in his book, Space Junk. So first we need to identify what part of that is the piece of work. In this case, it's Space Junk. Space Junk is the title of his book. If we look back up here, books are examples of major pieces of work, so therefore it needs to be underlined. So I'm going to go ahead and rewrite my sentence as Isaac, Asimov warned about a serious problem in his book. I'm going to capitalize the title, which is Space Junk. Okay. Now, I want to make sure that I underline. So this is the part that I'm going to underline. So I'm just go over here, take my line, and underline it. Okay. All right, number 2. The newspaper article last off covers space shuttles. All right, so we need to figure out what part of that is the actual title. So the title, we know it's a newspaper article. It's called Blast Off, and then covers space shuttles is the actual topic of the article. So since, again, it's an article, okay, right here, it is a shorter piece of work, so we need quotation marks around it. So we're going to write the newspaper article, and then quotation marks, capitalize the blast and the off, quotation marks again, covers space shuttles. All right, so circle the typewritten title that is written correctly. So it says the movie Star Voyage has amazing special effects. So if it's typed, the correct way to do it would be to use italics, which would be this one right here. Okay, they're both letting us know that this is a longer piece of work, but because it is typed and they tell us right here it's typewritten, then we would use the italics. All right, moving on to writing titles, and this one's quotation marks. So again, remember, we place quotation marks around the titles of short written works or parts of a larger work. So in the example above, a book chapter or an episode in a series, those would be a part of a larger piece of work. So a book chapter, like we're reading right now in Esperanza Rising, if we were to focus on a chapter like Figs, we would put quotation marks around it when we discuss it. And because it is a part of a book, which is a larger piece of work. All right, so we have Jim is always humming the duck from Peter and the Wolf. So right here we have two pieces of work that are listed. The duck, which is a part of the larger title, which is underlined. My favorite chapter from Little House in the Big Woods is the Wolf Pack. So again, quotation marks go around the smaller pieces of work, and we are underlining the larger piece of work where it is taken from. All right, we're going to go ahead and do these right here. So it says place quotation marks around the title of the short work in each sentence. Underline titles of any longer works. So number 1, it says Crosswords is my favorite song from Patchwork Blues. Crosswords is a piece of work, and Patchwork Blues is also a piece of work. So looking at those two, Crossroads would be the one that would need quotation marks, okay, because it is a smaller piece of work taken from Patchwork Blues. So we're going to underline this one right here. All right. Oops. Number 2, she's saying America the Beautiful at the beginning of the assembly. So our piece of work in this one is America the Beautiful. It is a song. And we don't have another piece of work that is listed. So we simply add our quotation marks around America the Beautiful. Number 3, I saw the painting Starry Night. So this is our piece of work, and it is a short piece of work. So we would put quotation marks around it in the beginning, and then quotation marks again at the end. All right, chapter 8, The Boy Flees Home, is the most memorable. So right here it is telling us that this is the title of the chapter, and we know it is part of a bigger piece of work. However, that other piece of work is not listed. So all we are doing on number 4 is we are adding our quotation marks before and quotation marks after. Number 5, in Dill's poetry collection, Scenes from a Southern Fall. Okay, that's one title right there. The piece I liked the most was Pumpkin Patch. There's another piece of work. So the first one is actually the larger piece of work. It's the full collection of all of the different poems. So we are going to underline that one because it is the larger piece of work. And Pumpkin Patch gets quotation marks because it is the shorter piece of work. Number 6, did you read the article From Lemonade Stand to Millionaire in the Greenwich Times? So we have two pieces of work that are listed, From Lemonade Stand to Millionaire and Greenwich Times. Okay, so the first one is the name of an article. That would be our shorter piece of work. So we are going to put quotation marks in the beginning and quotation marks at the end. And then the second piece of work that is listed is the larger piece of work. So we're going to underline it. All right, so again, this week you're focusing on titles and abbreviations. I know I didn't really focus a lot on the abbreviations this time around, but if you have any questions, you can always reach out to me. The abbreviations should be a review, but I will be posting something to kind of help you with that page. All right, we are all done.